You're listening to Ernestly Speaking, the only weekly podcast that covers friends, foes, and anything that goes. And now, for your badass host, Ernest Owens. And welcome to another episode of Ernestly Speaking with your host, Ernest Owens. Myself. Well. You know, I'm always excited to do a new podcast episode. But this episode, I have been waiting like forever to do this episode. I mean, first of all, there's just so much to talk about. And you've seen the title of the episode, so you already know what it's giving. And it's so much stuff that just needs to be unpacked. And I've been waiting for an episode this explosive to talk. I mean, it's been, you know, bombshells all this month, clearly. But this right here, you know, I have so much to say. And there's so much to talk about. And there's not a dull moment. There's never a dull moment on this show. But there's just so much that has happened this week. And we need to just, like, really get into it. We really do. But before I do, I just want to thank you all. 10,000 downloads. We reached 10,000 downloads in this podcast. And it's been, under 30 episodes. We haven't even, about 30 episodes, not even 30 official episodes. We have some bonuses in there and stuff, but under 30 episodes, we hit 10,000 unique downloads of this podcast. Buzzsprout sent me a notification a couple of days ago. And I just want to thank you all for just listening and spreading the word and spreading the gospel of this show. Keeping it on the charts, y'all. Keeping on the Apple Podcast charts. It's independent. You know, we finally got a grant from Linfest Institute, which is incredible, you know, to help keep the show going. You know, we got that PA grant that helped give me some equipment to do this great podcast. And it's just every day I'm reminded of how grateful I am that I did it and the impact that it's made for my career and what it's done for my ability to reach my listeners and readers and supporters in a different way, a way that many of you have asked for years. But, you know, when it makes sense, it makes sense. So I just want to thank you all so much for just listening and downloading and sharing and streaming and all of that good stuff, you know, because it is not easy putting this podcast together. I mean, it's easy, but the mechanics of like giving all this raw energy, because I don't do any stops or pauses. I just want to be clear. People have asked me that so far. I don't. I just talk like straight through. I don't. It's like the show I did, Ernestly Speaking. When I did you could watch it on YouTube. Just look up Ernestly Speaking. This was a talk show that I did on Philly Cam. That was public access media, and one of the things that I always wanted to do to keep the authenticity and the originality of the show and just the flow is to just make sure that I focus on the realness of a real conversation, I guess. Like, if you're having a conversation with no one pauses and says, stop, pause, let's do this again. We just go through. And I did my show like that, like nonstop. Like, there was no... it was no stop motion or whatever, like Tom Burton does with his animated films, whatever. Like, you just go straight through. And it's extended. Like, there's no pauses, there's no edits or anything like that. You know, we really just go straight through. And I did that with 2 seasons of that show. It takes a lot of discipline. It takes a lot of pacing. It's an art form. And that's how I treat it. It's almost like one man show, stand-up type of thing. Which I prefer, because I just think there's things that makes you think. You have to be creative. You have to be, there's some value and quality there. I think when you're getting a chance to edit everything, you know, there's value to that, I suppose. But I think there's something about podcasting where a person is just talking to you straight up and it's not so formulaic. And that's something that I love, the stream of consciousness. But you gotta also be a boss and be creative to do something like that, which is what I am. So, if you've noticed that about the podcast, it is like that. I don't take edits and pauses and hold things. I just go straight through. And, I time myself, of course, because I don't want to be on here for like 4,000 years. But at the same time, I also love the idea of fleshing out an idea. And so many of you all tell me that you do different things while listening. You're on the train, you're on your way to work, you're walking to work, someone said they mowed their lawn, listen to my show. Um, Listen, however you get it out, whatever you do, don't eat it or something because you might choke on some of the tea, especially with this episode. So, pace yourself, people, pace yourself. But thank you so much again for all the downloads and the shares and the listens and all the spins on all the various platforms because we're on everything and everyone's listening across the board. So, just again, thank you so much. And let's just keep going. So, wedding updates, because I got the biggest update not too long ago. My registry is sold out. Thank you all so much for that. I had a Vitamix blender that was expensive. It was over $600. But it was on sale. And originally it was $800 something, but it went on sale for $600 something. And it was like the last thing on my list. And a good friend of mine got it off the registry. So shout out to them. And now I'm completely sold out. My whole registry, everything I've wanted, everything, the La Crescent, the La Crescent, whatever, that skillet that I've wanted so bad, it is off. It is off the registry. My mini fridge that I wanted, some glasses and new glasses Barry wanted, silverware, knife set that he wanted. We just got everything off our registry. Everything that I could have thought of. Like every time I kept adding stuff, thinking, okay, this is gonna be the moment. Like I got a salad fucking spinner. I got a rice cooker, an air fryer. If you want to see all of the wonderful things that people got for the wedding, if you go to my Instagram, the link in the bio, I have Linktree. There is a link there that asks people if you would like to purchase something for the wedding. Click there. And you'll see all the lovely items. It's like over 29 items, something like that, of everything, all the weird, wacky things that I got. But listen, they are great. They're fabulous. As you all may or may not know, I haven't really gotten to open anything because part of it is because we have this thing where we're not going to open things until after the wedding. So there's stuff that I've had for, my wedding registry went up last year. I want to say maybe around January. So it's been over a year. Some of this stuff I have not opened in a year. There's just boxes that we've had to try to organize around the house. There's boxes, just stacking each other. Half of this shit I done forgot what's in it. But we've been trying to keep up with our boxes and make sure that, we store them right. But it's just tons of stuff. And we're going to it until after the wedding. I'm planning on moving next year, but not moving out of Philly, but moving to a new place. Staying in the same area, which I'm happy about because I love my neighborhood, but we're just going to move to a new place. People are like, oh, look at new money, new house, new stuff. No, we're going to move to somewhere else, but we're going to stay in the same neighborhood. And I'm waiting for that to come about, but we're gonna use that stuff for the new place, I'm assuming. But I'm gonna have to make some adjustments to that because there's just some stuff that, like, how you got stuff in your house that like, for example, a blender we've had forever broke down on us, and so we just had to use the new blender, or so I thought. And then because Mr. Johnson got that blender, I said, well, then we got a juicer. Let me use that juicer. So we did open those gifts. But everything else we have kept, in the box. And so if you sent it, we received it. I've counted everything. Everything lines up. If you sent nice cards, I will respond. Some of you have messaged me and asked me, did I get my package? And so I've confirmed. But some of you all like the surprise. So we'll just see. But thank you all so much for just basically clearing out my registry. And I was so nervous. I was like, those last two items, when we start getting to the mini fridge and stuff, some of y'all was waiting. Some of you was waiting. But I mean, maybe it was a sale. Maybe you got those Macy points. I don't know. But it just took me by surprise to see that it was off the list this morning. So thank you so much. So moving along. These invitations. Okay, let me tell you, the wedding drama has begun. And at first I was like, should I say this on my podcast? You know what? I really don't give a fuck. It like my listeners know some, here, listen. As you know, with weddings, there's always going to be that moment. And it has finally come to my door. And I knew it. I was waiting for the smoke, and the smoke has come to my door. And I first of all, I don't know. Shout out to the U.S. Post Office. Okay, postal services have been on point. Y'all are shocking me with how fast you have sent the mail out. I don't know what's going on. I mean, is people not sending mail in June anymore? It's just the shit is going out fast. So I sent. Okay. So let me just back this up. My invitations officially came in the mail. The ones I spent like all this crazy money for. Um, Me and Mr. Johnson assembled these invitations, which took a lot of work, but we got it done because we had to make sure that people got the invitation, the formal invitation. They got the RSVP, which has been making its waves on the internet because people have been talking about how specific I am and the details I am, so that people will not get it twisted. When we get to October 16th, but they're beautiful. The invitations are beautiful. Do say so myself. They came out lovely. Shout out to Zola and that 30% discount, because it did come in handy. Okay. But we got all of the stuff assembled. So we got the beautiful envelopes that are becoming iconic. There's this dark royal blue because our wedding colors is royal blue and gold. And there are these royal blue, like these like dark, rich navy blue envelopes. And so people are showing the back of their envelopes because the front of the envelopes have their address, of course. But the back of the envelope, the color is so signature that if you got this in your mailbox, you know what it is. And so people have been showing the backs of it. And shout out to Kellen, who is coming to the wedding. Him and his fiance is coming. And he showed the back of it. And I said, oh, that is a really creative way of letting people know what it is. And if you know, right? And it's not in a funny way. People are finding out they're going that didn't know who was coming. So some people are revealing their attendance by showing the envelope. And people are surprised. They're like, that person's coming? Yes, that person is coming. You'd be surprised by some of the people I fuck with around town. You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised. It is a very eclectic list. It's 100 people coming. And it's a very, great list of great people that I would say across the board, they all like each other. In spite of some of their political differences, in some cases, I think everyone pretty much like each other. But, I'm not here for politicians like that. I mean, whatever. I've had to uninvite a few, as you recall. So this RSVP, let me just read what it says. Because I listen, I told you I was going to be brutally honest about details, and somebody found out in real time. So the RSVP says, RSVP, kindly respond ASAP by putting this RSVP in the cream stamped envelope and mailing it back to us. Failure to do so by August 16th, 2021 will automatically uninvite you. RSVP is only for yourself and those on the invite. No plus ones are allowed. Invitation is non-transferable. Can't give it away, in parentheses. Because, some people don't, understand what non-transferable mean. That's for the aunties and the uncles and the folks who'll be like, non-transferable? What they mean? I can't you can't give it away. Okay? So, let me break this down. I think it's very clear, right? And so what I did was that I had inside the navy envelope, there's a cream envelope that's labeled and stamped. That's how generous we were about this. Mr. Johnson was like, well, to make it easier, we should even stamp the cream. At first I was like, fuck that. They need to get their own fucking postal stamp. Because some of the people may not come and I'm wasting the stamp. But, I also have to remember that I am 29. And so I am a millennial, a younger millennial. And I don't think some of my friends use stamps. I'm telling my age. I don't think some of my friends use stamps. I don't know the last time they've ever mailed something unless they have to go to the post office. So I was like, some people, I'm not going to shade folks, but I'm just saying that there's some people in my circle. I was like, when was the last time you mailed a letter? Because I'm all into stationery a little bit. Like I mail stuff. I mail letters and stuff. Some of my friends know I'm very cardsy and stuff. I mail cards and stuff like that, and handwritten cards and things that one day will be collector's items years from now. People will say, look, I got this card by. But anyway, I mail cards. And so I'm into stamps, and and my stamps have meanings, and I'm very specific about what they symbolize and things. And I handwrite cards. I do all that kind of stuff. But A lot of my friends don't. And so I'm just like, I'm scared that they may not even remember how to mail a letter or mail this. So let me just make it simple. Let me make it super simple. Fill out the damn card, put it in a thing, lift the envelope, and drop it in the box, in the mailbox. And that's it. That's all you have to do. Like, you don't have to do anything else. You don't have to go to the store. You don't have to even write. It's even the creamed envelope is labeled. They don't even have to write their own address. That's how thorough this process has been. And then there's also in the invitation a details card, which is basically all of the things you need to know about that day. The location, what else I put on there? The location, the attire, the preferred dress attire, which is just basically, semi-formal or dress to impress. Look like you got some sense. Y'all, this ain't Steak. I mean, Steak 48 want people to dress like they got some sense too, but this ain't the club. But they know that already. But, it's just nice to put it out there, because pictures will be taken, so you want to look good. What else I put on there? The hashtag, which is hashtag a very earnest wedding, which is a play on words, and people really love the hashtag, which I'm so happy. We thought so long and hard about that damn hashtag, y'all. I mean, I think that was like the longest conversation. I think we've talked about details, but that probably was the longest we had on such a particular detail. But it just works. So it's hashtag a very earnest wedding, which is a play on words and names and everything in between. What else is on that damn details card? The schedule, the rollout. There is a doors open at a particular time. There's the ceremony, the cocktail hour, the reception, and after party. People ask me which part do I need to go to? All of it. No, I'm joking. Basically I said everything except the after party, because once the after party get a little late, I know some of my more senior members of the party may be getting a little tired, but I recommend clearly the ceremony all the way till the reception. And then after that, the after party is optional, but I know a lot of people might want to stay because the gift bags are going to be given out, and you don't want to not have a gift bag because the gift bag is lit. Okay? I just want to say the gift bag is lit. We don't do corny gift bags. Not that I'm saying I went to weddings that had corny gift bags. I'm just saying that the gift bags are really nice and thoughtful. So everything is thoughtful. Shoot, all this, we've put a lot into this, because I said the other day, I said this is my first and my last wedding. Okay, so I'm super excited about it. And of course, y'all like, okay, get on with the drama though. Don't forget the drama though. We're gonna get to the drama in a minute, but I just want to put all the good stuff out there. So one of the cool things I want to add too is that Cake Life Bake Shop is doing my wedding cake. Hell yeah, they're doing my wedding cake, and I've met with them. I love the owner, Nima, who we go back. Okay, Nima is a trans man who I covered for LGBTQ when I was the LGBTQ editor for Philadelphia Magazine a couple of years ago. And I will never forget the first time I met him at that bake shop, or the bakery, I guess. And we sat down, and this is when they were like fully open. They're open, but you can't go in. Like it's like you have to order from you got to call in and stuff. And they're actually not doing wedding cakes for anyone in general. So I know there's people that was like, oh, I know somebody that knows. Listen, we're homies, we're cool. So he's he's making my cake, because before the pandemic, I've always, told him that he was going to make my wedding cake, and he's making my wedding cake. So I know there's going to be people that was looking all on the Instagram the other day, and then tried to, sneak and be like, oh, I thought you wasn't making wedding cakes. Well, no, he's not making wedding cakes. He's making wedding cakes for me. It's okay. Be nice to people. Be nice to people before you need something from them. That's the moral of the story. Anywho, so my memory with him was a couple years ago. I interviewed him in person, and I tried some of his delicious pastries, and he taught me something that just has stuck with me. So I'm not throwing shade at anybody else's bakeries, but he was telling me, we was having a cupcake or something, the icing, and he said that if it coats the root of your mouth, then they're using it's not all natural. They're using other things and preservatives, and it shouldn't do that. And all I will say is that ever since then, I have not really ate cupcakes from everybody, because the moment I can see that coating on my mouth, I'm like, oh no, I'm good on this. But his products don't do that. He uses real wholesome ingredients, good ingredients, and good quality, and it's worth every dime. I just have to give that shout out. Cake Life is life, and he's is saving lives with those delicious, authentic, wholesome, tasty, sweet, decadent cakes and pastries and tarts. I mean, my goodness, the talent. Okay, talent. My favorite bakery in Philadelphia. Favorite one. Y'all be talking about Denise's. Listen, I have nothing to say about Denise's. She's a legend. Her place is a legend. But, it's not my, you know, slice of cake. Not mine, personally. Just saying. I'm happy to see her resilience. I'm happy to see that business have a resilience. It's not my personal, they say cup of tea, slice of cake for me, slice of pie for me. But, it should exist because there's places that are far worse that exist. I'm just saying. Um, Y'all know one of them bakeries, they everywhere. But anywho, um, that being said, I'm super excited about it. We have a concept. I'm not going to share that concept. There's just things I just want people to be surprised about. Um, but it's fabulous. Mr. Johnson was very big on no heavy dye, which I agree with on cakes. Like I don't really like cakes that have lots of dye. I remember someone was like, "Oh, you should do a rainbow layer cake." No, the fuck I am not. What do I look like? I'm gay enough. The gay is in me. I don't need to have it on my cake with for what 8 or 9 different colors, especially when I have added colors to the cake, added colors to the rainbow, right? The black and brown stripes of the flag. I helped inspire with my comrades. I don't. I can't have a 10 layer color cake. There's too much dye. Do y'all understand that? Like the dye in cake, it's like, and then somebody I was talking to about this said that you do put too much dye in cake, it will even fuck up the flavor of the actual cake itself. So I don't play with dye like that. So I was very clear about that. We talked about other creative things, but But other than that, it's gonna be some fun. It's gonna be some things. I can't talk more, but it's gonna be an iconic cake. It's gonna be a memorable cake. It's gonna be a cake that's gonna be all over the internet. I hope. Because Lord knows it's not going to be a dime or a penny. But I'm excited about it. So to the drama. So the invitations have been sent out. I've sent them out for people that are coming to the wedding shower. We're gonna have an event, a little activity with those invitations in person. But for those who are not coming to the wedding shower, because I only could pick like 30 to 50 people to come to the shower because of, we're still in a pandemic. But I mailed those to them. So if you got it, then, you already got it, mail it back. And it's the people who have not received them. And so everyone listens to my podcast from across the country. Some of my family and folks listen. So I send emails, but people, this wedding newsletter, listen, I be looking at who gets their newsletter. Anyway, the people who are coming to the wedding shower are going to get their invitations in person. They're going to fill them out in person. And then those who got them mailed out, my long distance, extended family and friends, you all got them. Just, what to do. Send them and that's it. So that's how we set this up. Now, so I have a stepdad, as you all know. Now, my stepfather is not my not my current stepfather. My mother was married previously. And I had a stepdad growing up most of my life. Fun fact. My biological father is deceased. But my stepdad, I had for most of my life. They got divorced when I went to college, before I went to college, around 2010-ish. But they split, and he's always been active in my life since. It's not one of those like, oh, he left and then that's it. No, he's also the father to my younger sibling. So the one who's going to temple and all that, that's his dad. And he's, my dad too, right? And then my mother, has a new man and he's doing great. He's great. So my stepfather, who was her ex-husband, who I'm, very cool with or whatever, he got remarried. He got remarried to someone that I never really got to know. She might be a nice woman, but I don't know her like that, but that's his ex-wife. I mean, his new wife. I don't know her. We met the first time at the my brother's graduation party, Houston extravaganza. Yes, that was a very not too long ago, but you know how it is. You know how the cookouts and all that. The family gatherings be like, who that? Who that? So I met her there, but I don't really know her. And so when I sent these invitations, I didn't invite her. I just invited him. And I just thought to myself, that makes sense because one, it's a pandemic. Two, I had a strict 100-person list, and I'm keeping that list because the wedding's been officially paid off. And three, I don't know her. So I sent this invitation. I mailed it off, the invitation on Friday. He received it. He texted me the other day and was like, hey, I didn't get, I got the invitation, but there's only one RSVP and I'm married, so what's going on or whatever. And I'm in my mind like, sir, hold up. Not you acting like you about to plus one. You saw that RSVP, no plus ones allowed. I don't know why he would assume, but you know how people do. Let's just say that she doesn't have the best relationship with other folks in the family. I just was like, listen. When you do wedding planning, as you all know, for those who've been married, you make decisions that are also strategic. You make decisions that's about accommodating not just yourself, but other people that might be feeling some type of way at the wedding. Especially if there's been situations in the past. You just got to be strategic with it. And weddings are political. They are. Wedding invitations are political. All of this shit is political. Even getting married is political. I mean, when I saw what happened to DMX's fiance, right? She doesn't get the estate. She was trying to do common law, try to be a common law wife. The judge dismissed that shit. Listen, everything's political. People say marriage is a business transaction. I don't want to say that. I'm just saying that at the end of the day, if I'm going to be up in the house with you and we're going to be washing clothes and cooking food and taking out trash, if something was to happen to you or whatever, God damn it, don't you think that the person who was there riding with you deserved to have no confusion when it's time to pass down the estate or whatever the hell it is? I'm just saying. But that being said, it's all political, right? And I like politics. And so, I made the decision not to invite her. So now he's told me that he has to make a decision. Like LeBron James' decision, to figure it out. Because apparently they bought their plane ticket, they reserved a hotel together. Meanwhile, no one asked me, or even, he didn't even ask me, he just assumed. But no one said, hey, can she come? Or would that be okay? Or yada, yada, yada. I mean, none of that was put into consideration. He just assumed that because he got remarried, that was just going to mean she gets an automatic pass. Well, let's be very clear. And I'm not trying to be that messy, but I'm just saying that, for context, my fiance, he's not letting his dad bring his new wife he got married to. His dad also got remarried, but the wife can't come. Again, we have to make some additional cuts. That's what we're saying. But also too, it's just there's some drama and we're trying to avoid drama. And I'm not feeling guilty about it at all. Listen, by all means, I'm not getting pumped into doing nothing. No one's paying this wedding bill but us. Let's be clear. And I kind of like that though. I'm going to be really frank. I think that what I will tell people who are getting married or planning to get married, you and your partner, as much as you can, pay for that wedding. Don't let your parents pay for it. Don't let nobody else sponsor it. Because when shit goes down like this, you can be able to say no because you paid for it. And it should not capitalism should not define decisions, but fuck it, it should. Because I've been to some weddings where people's parents have dictate the whole wedding. It felt like a senior citizen gathering. And got nothing against the senior citizens, but if y'all are millennials getting married, it should feel like millennials getting married. But some people literally have to invite everybody. They have these big fat Greek weddings, these big Nigerian weddings, these big Indian weddings. And their parents pay for it. And it becomes less about the people getting married. And so I'm happy that I have this very unorthodox, gay, Black queer wedding that I can be able to, curate with the chosen family and the people I want to come. Yes. But He said he's gonna make a decision. I'm sitting here looking like, motherfucker, there is a waiting list, sir. So you better hurry the fuck up. He got to when, y'all? August 16th. But I'm feeling some type of way slightly because I'm just kind of like, you shouldn't put me in that position. And you should be telling me you have to make a decision. You shouldn't be telling me anything at all. Once I told you that I made the decision I made, you should have just been able to say in real time what you was going to do. But I know there's people on that waiting list waiting. And the waiting list is an invisible waiting list that I have with Mr. Johnson. And we have used it. You know, there's people I've So look, ex-stepfathers are stepfathers for a reason. See, this is what I be saying. So we'll see what he do. But I just said to myself, here it comes. So far, so good. Otherwise, I mean, the rest of my invitations, most people have been pretty much, they get it, right? But you know, you get them little surprises every blue moon where people want to add people on and stuff. It ain't happening. It's not happening. That invitation is very transparent. And people be thinking they could just add on people. Try it if you want to this wedding. Try it. All right. So I'm very excited about this book. I just want to say, yes, the book deal, the being able to write, being able to just sink my teeth into this process. I cannot wait. The case for counsel culture is coming, right? Next year, next fall. It's going to be a release. It's a quick turnaround. And people keep asking me tons of questions. And I'm just going to say to you, stay tuned. Because, when you're on a contract, you can't just share everything immediately. You have to, build this out. So I have to build this out. So that's all I can say on those updates. But I've just been so excited in general with all the things going on. I've been doing some great speaking engagements. Shout out to my agency that I'm a part of, Collective Speakers. I'm doing a speaking engagement for MIT for Pride Month. That's about, allies and things like that. Because no shade, but there's a lot of people doing some real pink washing type of LGBTQIA programming that's got me sitting here looking like, really? Y'all out here doing it like that? That's kind of corny. But I am very intentional on that. The type of Pride events I've been doing this month, the speaking engagement things are rooted in some real collective action type stuff. Talking talking directly to allies about the things they need to do to step up to the plate. Talking about statewide protections, talking about how they can talk to elected officials and demand change, right? Because there's a lot of people that put up these rainbow flags during Pride Month. But, people don't know that in my state of Pennsylvania, right? I'm in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. There are no statewide protections for LGBTQIA people on a statewide level. People don't understand this because the issue is that Pennsylvania is divided in municipalities, counties, as you all know, and each county or municipality has their own protections and ordinances. So, for example, in Philadelphia, there is a fair practice ordinance that do include protecting LGBTQI people from discrimination. However, there's other parts of the state that don't have LGBTQI protections. And so you could go to another part of Pennsylvania and it's a completely different environment. There's a completely different situation. And what I mean by that is that while people have marriage equality, which was a Supreme Court justice decision, right? That's fine, right? People can get married all across the country. That's a federal protection. However, there's no federal protections across the board that mandates for states to protect people from housing discrimination, public accommodation discrimination. People can lose their jobs if it's not a state job, right? There's some states that do LGBTQI protections. We would have state jobs, but like regular general mom and pop shops, they can still discriminate people based on their sexual orientation and gender identity. As it relates to LGBTQIA, right? They can't necessarily do it for, I don't think like gender between, if it was someone who's trans, they could, like quote unquote sexual minorities, people try to use that term. They can't do it they can't say you're discriminating because you're a woman, right? They can't do it on race and gender because that is a part of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. But sexual orientation, they can. They can if they don't classify transgender as a part of the gender class that can be discriminated based on gender. There's a lot of laws and legalities that people are not factoring in that is not there. So in Philadelphia, yes, you can make a case if you're being discriminated against because you're gay in the city. But that's because that's that particular municipality's ordinance and their dictation. So right now, the state is allowing municipalities to dictate this, but they haven't taken up the mantle. There's something called the PA Fairness Act that's been in conversations for nearly 10 years. That was proposed by straight people. Brian Sims was not the one who created that legislation. He is arguably the first openly gay state rep in Pennsylvania's history. Malcolm Kenyatta is the first queer person of color to be a state rep, but they didn't write this legislation. They now push it and champion for it, but they didn't write it. It was actual straight people like this man named Dan Franco, this former state senator named Larry Farnese, who was pushing for it back in the day. How do I know this? Because I used to be the vice president of advocacy for Equality Pennsylvania, which was a statewide LGBTQ legislative advocacy group that was pushing for progressive candidates and supporting people. I was very much involved in that, many moons ago, like maybe 5 years ago, back in the day. It was one of the first actual boards I got a part of, in my career. Like I was never a part of that was like the first professional board. And I learned a lot about boards and leadership and the politics behind it. Now I'm on several boards. But, that was my first ever like board experience. It was quite a learning experience. I was, 24, I think, when I got on that board. That was a different time. But I say all that to say that I like to have those conversations with people because I think people, always, say things like, "Oh, you got your rights," and what rights y'all don't have that we don't have, and they don't understand that there's actual people that can get fired from their job, right now. There are people that can get discriminated on different levels, and that these protections are not vast and wide. Even though some people are in major cities like New York and Chicago or LA, but you go to some of these other small towns. I mean, we first of all, LGBTQI people are everywhere, and we're everywhere. So we're queer and we're here, and people don't understand that there's no protections like hate crimes and things. Like it's not uniform across the board. I mean, the Supreme Court is still allowing the Catholic Church to discriminate against people, same gender parents from adopting kids through their networks. I mean, it's terrible, y'all. So I'm looking forward to speaking about these types of things and getting more people woke and aware on those issues. And that's what I've been doing. So I just want to say I'm excited to do speaking engagements, paid speaking engagements, getting checks, getting paid for my work, equity, pay me in equity. Okay. Watch me reverse out of debt. That's what Beyonce said in Ape Shit, right? Which is celebrating its like 3rd anniversary. It was such a good song. I like the video too. The video grew on me. It was a little weird at first, but I get it now. Anyway, Pride update. So Philly Pride Presents, as you know, last week I was talking about the boycott, about my piece I wrote about the boycott and how community members were concerned about what was going on. And I am pleased to announce that Philly Pride Presents have officially canceled their upcoming Pride, and they have dissolved and disbanded as an organization. What is that? Results. Hold on, wait a minute. Y'all thought I was finished. 28 years. They've been giving us whack-ass prides. Okay? Whack-ass pride parades. Lackluster, no diversity, barely on them fucking boards. And this was something that I have wanted to see going for a long time. This is a victory for the community. This is a victory for Black and brown LGBTQI members of Philadelphia, because we have been saying this trash-ass pride needs to go, okay? And I have not been covering LGBTQ issues as much. I do cover it sometimes. I do write some national pieces. I got a little Hollywood, they say, but I haven't really been able to deep dive into stuff. But the community and people was just kept reaching out to me and said, can you say something about this? Can you say something about this? And, I've tried to let the other inklings and reporters, try to, find that story. But after several weeks, I noticed that there was no coverage about the shit that was going on with Philly Pride Presents. And I had to come up out of the, my cave and just say, let me come out of hibernation, put on this Black and brown rainbow pride hat, and write this real quick and say what needs to be said for the community. And it just shows you the importance of diversity in media, because no one was right. No one said anything about it. Like, everyone was on social media, like, really talking about how fucked up these social media posts were. Activists were talking. Folks was creating events, the boycott. All of this was happening, and no one was covering it on a larger scale, which shows you that even in 2021, Philadelphia media still continues to not be in touch with the community enough to recognize patterns and to jump on it. So, you know what I had to do? I had to put my Superman cape on, and I had to help save the day with the people. So when I wrote that piece, a couple of days later, Philly Power Presents had a meeting, and they dissolved. And I think a lot of it came from the pressure of social media, the op-ed, which did really, really well online. Like, you all was reading and sharing that. And I think the public humiliation, and I think also the other organizations, let me just say this. Activism is important across the board. I think free speech is a form of activism. I think that journalism is a form of public service. Direct action, protest, all these things have to work, right, together. And I think when you see direct action with strong free press, like peanut butter and jelly, they make a great sandwich. And I think that's what sometimes gets missing, is that there are people out here who are doing the protests, doing the direct actions and things like that. But without that media coverage so that the rest of the world can see, a lot of times those deeds sometimes go in vain because people don't see it, and then people don't know about it, and then there's not other people that can take collective action. So I was happy that I was able to archive and combine all of these different concerns and receipts that the community had collectively had against Philly Power Presents to tell this one straight up story about what were the issues over the years. And that set the tone, because the funny thing is, now all the media outlets, now all the local affiliates, Fox 29 was interviewing Black and Brown Workers Cooperative co-founder Abdul Ali Muhammad. CBS 3 interviewed them. Now they're reaching out to people, and now they're talking to people. A week after I broke that story. And I think that is because, again, there are people who have to wait for that shoe to drop. And I've realized I have to be that shoe to drop. That's what leadership looks like before everybody else wanted to put it on and wear it out. So now everybody's talking about it. But sometimes you just got to make that initial push. And I don't mind being that initial push, because Lord knows I've done it in so many other ways for this community. And it's necessary, because, again, there was issues as early as Memorial Day. They was using basically a Blue Lives Matter flag and remixed it with the rainbow stripe instead of the blue stripe on the flag. They was doing all kind of shit. And everybody, the media, nobody was just saying anything. Nothing. Just covering Pride like, oh, Philly Power Presents is doing it in September. They was turning a blind eye to the issue. And that's frustrating. They turned a whole blind eye. So I was sitting there looking like, okay, I see where this is headed. I see where this is going. I see where this is going, and all of the clownery. But I got to focus on the things, I got to focus on the work. And so I'm happy to hear this. People have asked questions now. The question becomes, what's next? Look, I don't fucking know, but I tried. So in a piece I wrote for Philly Mag that came out, I'm talking about what I think could be next for Pride. I do think there are some things that can come out of this. For starters, I think, and this is all my personal opinion. This is why you're listening to Ernestly speaking, because this is Ernest speaking earnestly about my thoughts. These are my thoughts. I'm not speaking for anybody else. I personally would like to see it decentralized. I would like to see Pride not be just one big ass event, because I think the sad part is that when it is one big ass event, it becomes a money grab. It becomes corporate. It becomes white-centered, because they take over a disproportionate amount of the resources and equity of the city. So that's what's been happening for the past 28 years of Pride. So I don't want us to go back to what we was doing before. I think what people like to do is do the same exact thing, but think that having black and brown faces is going to change anything. Amber Heights. You can't. You got to really change the system. And so I would like to see Pride be decentralized. I would like to see Pride celebrated the way that you all in Philadelphia celebrated Juneteenth. Now, I could go on for days about my Juneteenth weekend, and I saw all the hoteps in a night. First of all, West Philly was lit. We had two Juneteenth events like back to back. It's like we're the best. I believe so. I believe West Philly is best Philly. And I'm gonna start calling it best Philly, so that you all know what I say. Like I said, for West Philly, I'm gonna say best Philly. So best Philly had back to back events. There was Juneteenth that was thrown by Black Lives Matter, which was very Afro-futuristic. There was a black reverend's chair. There was all these other celebrations and events that was done. And then there was like this big old Juneteenth festival that was done on that Saturday, and it was huge. And I went out there. It was hot as hell, but it was great. Everybody Eats, which is with Kurt, who does Down North Pizza, was there. Who else was there? There was everything fresh. This black-owned vegan delivery group was there with their black bean burgers, which I liked. There was also just a lot of vendors and cool stuff going on. Performances. The Qs were out there and their purple and gold, barking, not biting, but just barking. Then there was these groups, the Israelites, which is what I call the hoteps, but they were deep, y'all. They had their whole not samurai, but like the huge long outfits and the swords and and they were out there, child, with their outfits out there yelling at the people with their homophobic, misogynistic rhetoric, and they just a hot ass mess. I'd be like, them are mad men. Who's not, if lonely men, if angry lone black wolf was a person, it would be the Israelites. They just a mess, man. They were out there angry at the world. And I'd be wondering, who are they when they're not wearing those outfits? Like, where are they located? Like, they are amongst us, y'all, deep in West Philly. Like, are they at our barbershops? Because, where are they working? Like, what do they do in the real world? They're like a bunch of them. And, it's I don't want to compare them to the Klan. I don't think that's the best way to describe them, but they're definitely, a far right group. They're like the alt-right of the black community. It's like an extreme. And they had their outfits on, and they was on the mic, and they was just, doing their thing. It's wow. And there's so many of them. But, that was interesting to watch. But I still have to say that there was also a Juneteenth in Germantown that same weekend. And other people doing Juneteenth festivities all across. I just think that what I would like to see is Pride be celebrated in different pockets. I like to see people celebrate Pride in different segments. Like, rather than be focused on trying to have one big, huge parade, it would just be splintered off into niche groups. Because the LGBTQIA community has, as you can see, various identities and intersections all within one. And I think that, to be honest, diversity has always been an issue within Pride on that larger scale. And so what would it look like for people to have different pickings? Like, what if Best Philly was like, look, the diverse, eclectic, hippie, woke, queer community of Best Philly is going to come together, and we're going to, have our own, Pride gathering. And if people from different parts of the city want to come through, they can, but we going to focus on Best Philly vendors, Best Philly LGBTQ artists and musicians. It's going to be very local and very regional. And I would love to see that, because I do think there's enough of us in Philadelphia. Oh, there's a lot of us in Philadelphia where we can literally break off in pockets. The neighborhood can have its bars. And if you want to go party and bar, you can. If you want to mobilize for something, the activist group want to do their own type of gathering and ritual, they can do that. But I think the splintering of it would be better for the community overall, because therefore, you can have more options to go to. Because I would love to see Pride spread out. I would love to see Pride just have more to offer than just this damn thing at Penn's Landing, okay? I would love to see it not just be in Center City. I would love to see people feel like they're not stepping on the turf. Because I feel like there was a lot of intimidation in the past when people tried to do Pride events that were not lock and step with Philly Pride Presents. And I think now is the time. I mean, it's happening already. There is a website called Philly Gay Pride Month.org that is putting out events. There's all types of groups that are putting out events and listings that are getting people to go out to the community, and people should take advantage of that and see what else is going on in town rather than just focusing on one particular location or area, because I feel like that's actually further segregation. Some people argue that what I'm calling for is a segregation, but to be quite honest, that event was the segregation of everybody who wasn't white, everybody who really was who wasn't, cis het and white. I mean, or cisgender, because I mean cis het is gay, but I mean het is straight. But people who were, basically different people who were not in the community, that were not trans, that were not non-binary, that were not of color, that come from various backgrounds. I mean, it wasn't, or people who didn't have money. The former Pride model we had just was not inclusive enough. And I don't really care what straight people think about this. Let me be clear. I don't care what cishet people care about. I have to put it together, because there are transgender people that are straight. So you can't say, just straight people in general, right? Because sexual orientation, gender identity are not always in alignment, right? Or ever in alignment, to be honest. But I would say that, to be clear, cishet people, complaining about Philly Propositions going away, why? the community doesn't want it, and I guess being an accomplice or an ally, whatever, you shouldn't even be mad at a decision that is not even your decision to make. You just need to just go with the flow. I'm sorry that we couldn't give you, gayness on a bun in a very respectable, accessible, easy way for you to just co-opt. I'm sorry that just couldn't happen for you anymore. Now you're gonna have to work a little bit harder to integrate yourself. It's gonna be a little harder, which means you're gonna have to actually know people. You're gonna have to, step up and give, not just to the Trevor Project, not just to GLAAD. What's the other ones that not just the HRC, good God, but to local groups that are trying to put on these types of events that, you want to go to and, be inspired by. But, I just, I really think it's going to take a lot of people stepping up, of course. But I mean, the community can do whatever. We're magic, and it will work out. I think, to be honest, it needs to be a change. And I feel like this puts people in a, pressure makes diamonds, and we're going to definitely make diamonds. And I'm really excited about it. So just think more people should, get prepared for what that's going to look like. I've heard that there are some people trying to organize something for September. More details will come. We'll see what happens. But farewell, Philly Pride Presents. Bye. All right. Free Britney. Because, woo! Okay, first of all, I've been Team Britney for a long time. I grew up on Britney Spears. I've been a Britney Spears fan for over 20 years. Damn, I can say that. Yep, I have been a Britney Spears fan for over 20 years. I have listened to all of her albums, even the ones that were not so good. Like Glory. Well, Glory was a nice little return from. We're going to talk about Britney Jean. Britney Jean that wasn't that good. But she gave us Work Bitch. And Perfume was all right. But, favorite guilty pleasure Britney album, Blackout. And see, real Britney friends understand that Blackout was fun. We knew some things were going on in her life, but what a good time Blackout was, okay? Because Give Me More is still my shit. It's Britney, bitch. Really love that album. But also, what album do I play a lot from her the most? I will say In the Zone. I really like In the Zone. Her earlier stuff is classic, it's iconic. But the Britney that I feel like I was in full, zone with, at the height of, in my opinion, was In the Zone. I just thought that was, her coolest, and, Me Against the Music with Madonna, and just, and the Yin Yang Twins, they did. Toxic was on that album. I just felt like that was just, that's my, spirit animal. That's I was like, if I recommended an album, people, I was like, you gotta listen to In the Zone. That was a very good, that album, it aged well. But I also like some of her newer albums. Like I said, my guilty pleasure is Blackout. I do like Femme Fatale. I went to the Femme Fatale tour when it came to Philly Oh my God, y'all. I was about to say 5 years ago. 10 years ago. Yes. Femme Fatale Tour came to Philadelphia at the Wells Fargo Center, summer of 2011. That was the year Beyonce, Born This Way came out that year. That was like the last big year for pop music across the board. Because Adele's album came out that year. Born This Way came out that year. Katy Perry was still on the charts. For Beyonce's album 4 came out that year. That was a big year. It was all that electronic stuff, party rock, all that. That was a summer, man. Summer 2011 was fire for pop music. All that dance shit. We dubstep and all that house music. That was a time, right? The Weekend when before he was like really, 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 really big. Oh, that was a good time. I remember that era. Yeah, yeah, that was a year. But anyway, I went to the Femme Fatale tour and it was phenomenal. And I mean, there was signs, right? We knew things were, at that point with Britney wasn't great. But I knew something was wrong. And a lot of the fans knew. We knew for a minute. When she started going on Instagram, you see some of those videos, you just knew some stuff was going on. And so she went to court on Wednesday and she finally, for the first time, broke her public silence about how she wanted to get the fuck out of this conservatorship. I mean, all kind of crazy stuff was revealed. Stuff about how she wanted to have a child, but they put an IDU in her where she couldn't get a child. They didn't want her to have a child. There was issues around, just controlling her tour. She didn't want to go on tour. All kind of control issues. She wants to sue her family. She's looking like, how am I on conservatorship when I'm taking care of all these motherfuckers? Which I agree. Britney has not missed a beat. When I found out she had $60 million, now let me be clear, $60 million is money that is ridiculous. And if I had $60 million, I would be in no position to say anything. But when you try to figure out, people, it's like 60 million, that's a little low. When you look at the girls like Madonna with like nearly $1 billion, Beyonce with nearly $1 billion, some of the other people got $500 million. These pop stars got hundreds of million. Britney got 60 million after all these years. She should have way more money. The issue is that she's been tied up with so much legal fees. Okay, her music was still charting and it was still selling pretty moderately well. Her tours were great, but because she's been caught up in so much legal shit, she's had to spend millions of dollars over the years, and she's paying for everybody, goddamn, and her family. They're so fucked up. Her father is terrible. If you have not seen Framing Britney Spears, you should, because it's epic. So one of the things that Britney said is that she said, quote, to the judge, "I've lied and told the whole world I'm okay and I'm happy. I'm so angry, it's insane." And when I heard her speaking, they've released audio. There's been audio that's been leaking. Her accent, y'all, that very high, nasally, throaty, like voice, pitchy voice that she normally has, that went out the window. She was giving y'all straight Louisiana, which is where she's from. She's giving you Kensington Wood. She was giving you straight Louisiana. Okay? She was talking so fast, she was ready. She's like, I want to get the fuck out of here. Like, I'm over it. She was over it. And I was like, when I heard her voice, it made me think about her reality show days. There was a show she did called with Kevin Farrell and her ex-husband who's trash, called Chaotic. And I remember that when she wasn't putting on that accent, that famous, very high-pitched, throaty voice. Like, so my fans, I love my fans so much. Like, thank you all so much for coming out. And I'm so happy that you all are here. It's, it's so thank you. So that voice, that accent that she has signated. And so many people have tried to do that voice since her. But Britney is like, I think, trademarked that as a pop star. And so many people, like the Kardashians, try to do a version of it, but they can't do it as well as her. But she didn't have that. It was a very throated, strong, stern voice. And you've seen it in some of her previous interviews she's done in the past. Like nowadays, she's very Britney-ish and she has this type of, girly voice that she cannot let go of. And she's she's getting close to 40. And she would not let it go. Like even when you hear it, it sounds really weird now listening to it. And again, real Britney fans know this. When you listen to it on Instagram, it's been taken up a notch. But she said she's been on lithium and other drugs. It's like, I knew it. I could tell by the eyes. It was in the eyes for me. And the hair. Just things are just off. But I'm happy that it's out there now, and I want her to be free. This conservatorship is ridiculous. Her father has had on a conservatorship for years, and it's basically slavery. She called it sex trafficking, I think she said. Very exploitative, and she just needs to be freed. Free Britney, bitch. So this is a lot. So I wrote a piece for the Daily Beast because I love them. They're great. They just been killing across the board, that publication. So I wrote a piece about progressives, and basically there's been some stuff that's been going across the country, and I've just been wanting to talk about this. I have talked a little bit about this in the past, but I thought it was time to bring it up again because people don't be getting it. So in New York City, which is not too far from Philly, it's a 2-hour train ride if you're nasty, or an Acela for an hour if you got money. There's a big mayoral race, and they're doing this, ranking thing. I don't know how I feel about that. They say it's more democratic. I don't know. There's been people that want to come to Philly. I don't fucking know. I wouldn't want the headache, y'all. It's like ranking the people. But what if I don't want to rank? What if everybody's trash? Only one person is good. Do I have to rank them? Like, what if I just really like one person? But New York did it, and Andrew Yang conceded, thank the Lord. But there's this big mayoral race right now happening in New York City, and the results have not come out fully yet. It's still going to take weeks because of this damn ranking file. Philadelphians cannot wait that long, child. We ain't impatient as fuck. They have candidates across the spectrum. So, there's a man named Eric Adams who's a Republican. He's an ex-cop. He's black. He's ex-Republican. He's an ex-cop. He's black. And he is the front runner right now. Like, he's got the wide margin. Under him is Maya Wiley, who used to be on MSNBC back in the day. She worked as an aide to current mayor Bill de Blasio. Then you have Michelle Garcia, who is a manager, used to work in the de Blasio administration. And then you have Andrew Yang, who is fourth in the ranking. And he's just conceded. Who is annoying as fuck, elitist as fuck, ableist as fuck, trash across the board. And he ran for president and lost there too. So he's completely taken himself out the equation. So now the top three people who are really in conversation right now is Adams, Wiley, and Garcia. Now, interesting enough, in the top four, with the exception of Wiley, they're moderates or technocrats, as some people would describe them. Adams is definitely a strong moderate, even though he's got this weird swag about him where people are questioning if he lives in New York. They say he got a Jersey situation going on, but I think he got a little boo he just going to see over there. I think he lives in New York, but I don't live in New York, so what do I fucking know? I'm just saying. There's questions about that. There's questions about his political ties. He's got that old school thing. He was a borough president, a borough president or whatever. He has connections to some people in his real estate businesses. People think it's a little shady. He's also for increasing cops because, as you know, during the pandemic, gun violence has skyrocketed in major cities, including Philadelphia, and then also crime has increased in New York City and other parts of the country, major cities like Chicago, of course. And so there's been a conversation around public safety, but then also racial justice. And so there's a lot of things on the table. Garcia is also moderate. Yang was too. Wiley isn't. She's getting endorsed by progressives like AOC, Elizabeth Warren, and people are coming out to support her. And, she's kind of taken that mantle from a woman that initially was having the buzz named Diane Morales. But her staff were voted against her. And she was the defund the police candidate, as some people framed her. But long story short, Adams got a sizable lead, and that is coming from a lot of these poor Black and brown boroughs across New York, and also the fact that a lot of his support is coming from the very people that progressives are claiming they're advocating for. So it's a case study, essentially. It's a case study in advocacy, as a case study, and trying to figure out why is this the case. Now, I want to say this. To me, and what I make in my argument in my piece is that there's two problems happening. One is that people keep assuming that, well, three issues actually. So I'm about to have all the issues laid out. There's issues that there is this idea that progressiveness, right? A lot of it is centered on, it's supposed to be, let me correct, it's supposed to be focused on the most marginalized. So that's oftentimes women and black and brown people specifically. People who are impoverished, folks that have gone through the trenches, right? That's progressive activism policy should be fixated and focused on those particular people because they are the demographic that progressives claim to be advocating the most for. The problem is that for whatever reason, the progressive movement does not look like the very movement, it matters. Like a former cop and Republican won big in AOC's district. Eric Adams, who's now a Democrat, won big, okay? Won big in AOC's district. And that should tell you something. That should tell you something about the political state that we're in. That we're in a situation where people don't understand what's happening, what's shaping this, should tell you a lot. And the thing is that AOC endorsed, AOC endorsed Maya Wiley. Don't matter. Because there's something that people don't fundamentally understand about black voters. There is a generational divide amongst black voters around progressiveness. The older black voters are, the more moderate they become. They're also pragmatic, which means that even though they might agree, if you ask them on surveys about progressive views, most black voters will agree on principle, right? And let's be very clear. Across the margins, we're more progressive than our white counterparts, okay? Let's be very clear. We're more progressive than everybody, to be honest, in the pool, right? Like when you look at Latinx voters, when you look at white voters, Asian voters, we skew definitely in the right direction. Like politically, we're Democrats. Like we're just by and large Democrats. But amongst the Democratic Party, we are divided on how we sway, but we sway more moderate, just like white Democrats do, just like everybody else do. And so that's just how it's been for a while. But there's been this narrative because of increased media attention on the current radical justice movements. People think that black people all vote the same. And I will tell you that I know that my uncle or my aunt would vote for Eric Adams before they would vote for Maya Riley. The same way they were excited about Kamala Harris and didn't have nothing to say about Elizabeth Warren, a white woman. When I remember there was a huge progressive push for Julian Castro, which I personally thought was my personal top pick. And then there was a push for Elizabeth Warren. It was interesting because social media, Twitter was telling you, okay, Elizabeth Warren got some momentum in the black community. You saw them numbers, child. She didn't. Biden did. But depending on how you consume social media, you would think that Biden was highly unpopular. But he wasn't. He was highly popular amongst black moderates who make up the strong voting class. Younger people didn't care for Biden, but a lot of younger people are not showing up to the polls to actually vote because their whole disillusion with politics is like they're woke enough to be like, fuck the system, but not concerned enough to realize that they need to go to the polls and vote. And so while they are very much not in favor of Biden, they're not also voting against him by voting for another candidate. They're just not voting at all in certain cases. And so there's a real issue here, fundamentally. And that's why in this piece I'm explaining, here's why this former cop and Republican like Eric Adams wins big in AOC's district, because there's a disconnect. And I think that the issue is, what I've realized is that on congressional seats, people are skewing more progressive on the national scale for those type of like seats for Congress. But when you go local, it depends on the demographics per population. Like citywide, these people ain't winning these progressives are not winning these citywide races by and large. Krasner is an exception to the rule. He really is. But I also think it took a lot of money to get Krasner that. A lot of these people don't got the money. It's going to take a lot of money to push people and move people more left than what they are. It's going to take a lot of money, and clearly it takes Soros money or Real Justice PAC's fake money to try to get people to change. But I say all to say that it's nothing wrong necessarily with progressive ideals. I support them clearly. I'm a progressive. But I have had conversations with other folks in the community about, hey, the way that this is being pursued on the national front needs to change. I'm not seeing the black progressives from the hood be amplified enough. I'm seeing a lot of people like myself, right? Which I strike that fine balance. Like I public school all my life, grew up in a working class family. Went to Ivy League school, but that was tuition based. I didn't pay for that. I got a scholarship. I did all of the things in that upward way. And so I feel more connected. But I feel like there are some people, and there's nothing wrong with this to a degree, that were privileged their entire life. And they're woke, but they're privileged. And they're coming into this space from I've realized my privilege and now I want to advocate for progressive issues. That's cool. But you really shouldn't be at the front and center of this. And even myself, like, I amplify as a journalist. I amplify as a black person, a black queer person, right? But I also recognize there's other people that need to be a part of this movement, that need to be in leadership positions, that need to be talking about this, right? And even the Democratic Party struggles to amplify black women. They're starting to do a little bit better slightly. But they have done black women wrong within the whole liberal movement in space. Progressives, they're not doing better. And what's happened is that it's been hijacked by a lot of white people who are concerned white people. And so when you're looking at black people who, again, are not automatically a given vote or a given monolithic vote, people keep acting like black people are just, we say this, they do this. That's not true. Are we more persuadable on these issues because they connect to us directly? Absolutely. But you have to earn the vote. You have to get your ass out there on the grassroots level. You have to show the fuck up. And a lot of these people are not showing up in those communities. And they're not showing up in sustainable ways. Don't come by only during election time. Okay? Like, I live in West Philly, and I see people come out here and just be like, oh, flying around for candidates. Like, if that's the only time you're showing up in these communities is for political engagement, and you're not coming by the neighborhood just to support, just to shout out, just to let people know to support this business, or just to do whatever. If you're not having that kind of engagement with the community, you're failing them. Okay? If you're not like advocating for them on a regular basis without wanting to vote or a stunt or media coverage or cameras around, you're not doing the work. And it's frustrating. And then what happens is a guy like Eric Adams gets to act like, okay, because this man got money, honey, but he's acting like he a blue-collared man. Because he has realized, like Trump did, that there's a populace here, right? That there is a folksy charm and desire. And it's crazy because I'm looking like, how does someone like Eric Adams appear to be more appealing and attainable to these people when his policies probably would do more to hurt them than not? But see, that's because of approach. And the current progressive movement is struggling to really let people, I see the internal fighting in these nonprofits. I see the internal fighting in these grassroots organizations. I see the upfronting, the grandstanding, the ego. It's eroding, and it's eating up the opportunity for progress. It's eating it up. I'm not seeing the progress as much because I'm just seeing in cities like New York and places like that. I mean, look at what happened with Morales' campaign. Like that could have been something, but because she ain't doing right by her staff and all the upheaval, stuff be falling. But we're supposed to be trying to set a better, equitable example to the rest of the damn country, and we can't even get our shit together. So I just think there's a lot of these what's happening right now. And then look also at Biden, right? Biden just put out this gun violence, action plan. And, I'm just not surprised that he's doing what he's doing. He's trying to do $350 billion, I think, talking about increasing the budget. to give funds to police departments across the country. So the movement has been asking for people to defund the police. This man is funding them with more money and resources that he thinks is really going to address this gun violence issue. Child, bye. But we all knew when we said Kamala Harris, and folks were like, "Oh, don't call her that. Oh, don't come for Biden." They are full of shit. And we knew this was going to happen. We knew it. We said defund, not refund. But he wanted to refund the police. They're getting more money. They're getting more money. And we think putting more money in police departments is going to do anything to solve these issues. But the reality is that fear tactics and fear mongering works. And Eric Adams is giving that, right? He's giving that. Biden and them are giving that, right? Because people are scared in their neighborhoods. And I think part of it is that, again, I say this because I'm in these communities. I'm talking to the aunties, the grandmas. They really do want to see change, right? They are not abolitionists. They're not. And I'm not shaming them for not being. They're not seeing that in their lifetime. And the reality is they want reform. And I know some people like reform is not enough. Listen, you ain't got to tell me shit. But I'm just telling you that there has to be some way. There has to be a reframe or a way to get this message out in a different way. New soldiers, new resources, white people step up that care, get the fuck out the way, give black people the resources to go into their community, give these activists and these organizers the resources to go in their community to reset the narrative. Because too many white people are in the conversation, too many white people got their hands in the pot, too much people who are not actually living in these neighborhoods are telling the rest of the movement how to react and respond to it. And it's just a lot. And I'm not saying people are not working hard. I'm just saying that there's a messaging issue. There's a disconnect. And it's starting to show. It's starting to show. No one said it was going to be easy. No one did not say it wasn't going to happen overnight. But I'm just seeing a lot of what happened in the summer uprisings last year. It's starting to reverse. And I'm seeing it, part of it is because we're not seeing different people evolve and get elevated. Like we just are not seeing enough black women, enough trans people, right? Being amplified and be given an opportunity to speak. We're not seeing more direct connection with the community outside of folks that have the same identities. And I think part of it is because we've gotten to a point where, goodness. We've gotten to a point where, rightfully so, people want to create safe spaces and they want to protect themselves from what they consider to be triggering conversations and issues. And that's people's right. But in navigating the terrains of change, you will be triggered. You will be uncomfortable. And we talk about this in the progressive movement about how privileged people and folks that aren't in our space is need to reside in discomfort. But I feel like there are progressives who don't want to reside in the discomfort of confronting some of these sensitive issues, some of these truths, when getting into it with the community and having these tough conversations. There are some people that are invested in doing that work. But it's not enough, I think, and I don't see the turnaround in certain cases. I'm just saying it's a lot to unpack. I could literally do a whole episode about this, but then I could just put it in my book. But I do think that there's a disconnect. Clearly, there's a generational gap that is not changing. It's widening. It's not closing, and politically, we're getting fucked by it. And we got to figure it out. We got to coalesce. We got to, maybe it's less candidates on the fucking ballot. Maybe it's, okay, let's get behind one candidate that we fucking know. Like, what if, Garcia would have just said, you know what, my campaign is about to be, it's a sideshow. I need to end this so that I can just put my resources and back and behind Wiley. What would have looked like if other folks in the race did that? Like if Stringer just said, you know what, after those sexual, harassment allegations, I need to really just get the fuck out of this because I'm taking up space, and just could have backed the black woman, right? Because Maya Riley could have been, or well, I mean, it looks like Adams is going to win, but she could stand to be the first woman mayor and the first Black woman to be mayor of New York City, of a major American city. That'd be a fucking big deal. With her policies, come on. The comptroller I hear is progressive, but yeah, just a big deal. And I also want to just say this, a little tidbit about this. There is a city council member at large named Helen Gym in Philadelphia that recently got arrested or detained after protesting for the state to provide more funding for schools. I'm not the biggest Helen Gym fan, and people know that. And part of why is because I personally find her fake. That's my personal opinion. I think that there's a lot of things that she say that does not align with the things that she has done. And I feel like she's a hypocrite. And I personally feel like she's a political hack. I think that she is pandering at best to try to get power. She plays this activism appearance, but really, she ain't never bust a fruit in the great fight from where I hear. She's definitely upstaged lots of Black women throughout the teachers' rights movements and advocacy for teachers. She's definitely have pandered her way all the way through. And I just really think that when you look at the politics she play, she's not consistent. She has called for the resignations of people like Sheriff Jill Williams, which she should have. And I, of course, y'all know I called for his resignation as well, for allegation on sexual assault and cases he had, settlements and things he's done that were around people who've accused him of sexual harassment. Well, she doesn't have that energy for, I don't know, Johnny Doc. I don't know, Bobby Heenan, who she supported to be majority leader, even though this man is currently indicted right now, federally indicted for all types of heinous acts. But she aligns herself with those Northeast politicians and interests. They're the ones who gave her the advantage back in 2015 when she first ran for city council and she iced out Isaiah Thomas. She's very much one of those people where she has never found a camera she's not afraid of or don't like. She's always going to be in a camera. She's always going to be. And it's interesting because how she gets media attention has been miraculous. And also, it's commendable, but not favorable. Not commendable, but astonishing is the best way to say it. She has found a way to get media attention for every stunt. And quite frankly, I'm not impressed by it. People try to call her the Philly AOC. Where? Fair wage week, that bill, the whole fair wage thing, I'm all for it. Good work. But what I've seen with her consistently is that she loves to talk on platitudes. But when it's time for execution, it's another story. For example, this budget. What's she doing transformational for our budget? She want to get in Pennsylvania and get taken out and let cameras and media attention get to her. It's no surprise she's running for mayor in 2023. She has not confirmed that, but she is a presumptive candidate for mayor. And it's getting close. And so the stunts need to come. She needs to get footage. She needs to get new, fresh footage. And so there is cameras of her getting taken out, advocating for the kids. And she'll use that in a campaign commercial. And so I put my tweet up and told people, watch Helen Gym use this in her mayoral campaign ads in 2023. Save this tweet. Remember it, because the pandering is going to reach all heights at this point. She would rather pose as an activist than do more in city council. Of course, the urbanists of Philly, right? These white folks that love their little bike lanes and shit, love going in gentrifying neighborhoods, pushing out Black people, acting like we're all in this together. They only cared about their fucking kids and their fucking families. Yeah, those people who like to think that arguing about SEPTA all day is a real problem, right? They're first world problems that really they don't even realize that people are upset about SEPTA fair and you over here worried about bike lanes and shit. Like, it's just one of those types of things. That has me kind of over it, if that makes sense. Over it. So, I say all this to say that, I say all this to say that we got to watch out for the stunt queens. We have to watch out for the stunt queens. We have to watch out for the people that like to pull stunts. Because stunt queens are going to stunt, and we just have to do better. That's all I'm going to say on her today. You know? Be best. So, the moment you've all been waiting for. Or not. Shaun King. Shaun King is white. Let's just start there. Shaun King is white. He's white. It's been known for a while. But I think it's fair. You know what I'm saying? It's rare. It's been there. It's woo, child. I think the end is near for Shaun King as far as his stunts, as far as his publicity. I think the end is near for Shaun King's like prominence in this activist space and publicity. It's been a long time coming, but I think people are really getting tired. And I think that each time it's like David and Goliath. Each time that stone keeps hitting, eventually Goliath is going to fall. And I think it's getting close. I think we're getting close. There are some resistance, but I think people, the movement to cancel Shaun King, it's coming close. And there's also just a stronger fist each time. But the conversation around whether Shaun King is white or black has come back up. And the thing is, I've been saying that he was white. Okay, y'all know I've been saying this. I've been consistent across the board. I have not wavered on my stances about him. Period. But one of the things that really took this off the top is that Samaria Rice is a national treasure. We need to protect her at all costs. We need to make sure that she is protected out here. She is given so much of her energy. And so if people don't know who Samaria Rice is, she is the mother of Tamir Rice, the young boy who was killed and gunned down by cops a couple of years ago, and was one of the early names that we know connected to Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter movement was inspired, a lot of it by Trayvon Martin and people like Tamir Rice and others, and Mike Brown. But Tamir Rice is definitely one of the early names that was a hashtag. And this mother has been outspoken and blunt about the elitism, the exclusion that she's faced for not being, quote unquote, the well-polished, well-scripted mother of a victim, right? And she has been excluded from clubs that are like mothers of the movement, all these different things. She has not been given the same support. And a lot of it because she keeps it blunt. She keeps it honest. She keeps it 100. She's been critical for a minute. And I've been talking a lot about her on the podcast. But she had to let the hood know. Okay, let the people know on Instagram about how Shaun King has been centering himself and trying to use her family and their name to further his career. So here's what she said. And I will tell you, I have, if there is ever nominations for Drag of the Year, I think this is definitely going to get first place now. She says, Shaun King, and I'm quoting, Shaun King, why do you think it's so important to tell folks we had a conversation? Well, we talked, and everything that was said was very toxic and uncomfortable for me to hear, that you raised additional money and then say you did not want to bother me. Personally, I don't understand how you sleep at night. I never gave you permission to raise nothing. Along with the United States, you robbed me for the death of my son. You gave me a cop and donut conversation. All lies, Shaun. Please stop thinking we are on the same page. As a white man acting black, you are an imposter that cannot be trusted. My son was 12 years old, and the DOJ, Department of Justice, needs to reopen his case, period. Tamir human rights was violated. Why would you so ever make it about you? You are a selfish, self-centered person, and God will deal with you, white man. Points made. Drops mic. I just feel like that's. I mean, what do you say after that? What do you say after that? When you get dragged like that, when you get your whole scalp taken like that, when you get told, and she just made it plain. No fancy language, no soliloquy. Just you a white man, you ain't shit. You know, just lay it out. Just lay. What happens to the days of just making it plain? Sometimes you just need to be just plain like that. Just say everything without having to do the most. I try to make it plain sometimes, but I just sometimes it's just very clear. It's very clear what she thinks about Shaun King. It's very clear what he has done. It is very clear why she does not fuck with him. And for those people out here that's like, what's going on? That's what the fuck is going on. I'm so sick of people doing the what's going on, and I'm confused. Like Google does not fucking exist. Like it's there. It's done. Like this man has, according to Samira Rice, has basically fundraised without her consent for her child, the additional money, and told her that he didn't want to bother her about it. Where was that money going? Where did that money go in 2015? Ben Crump there's tweets out that Ben Crump put out. The family, the state of Tamir Rice have been trying to push. I got court documents, man. They've been trying to get Ben Crump out of the situation, which Ben Crump eventually, recused himself. But they didn't want Ben Crump involved. They was over what was going on with that money. They was over a lot of the stuff that was happening. Oh, this is messy. And that's why she has been, I feel like, blackballed by some of the other folks in that space, because she is not going to do the curtsies, because she smells the bullshit. She does not want to be famous in that way. And she is so tired of them. And in the years, they have continued to put pictures of her son out there and fundraise using his name and the money. And this woman has struggled, and they've done nothing. All in this names of Black Lives Matter is disgusting. And it's a distraction from the real work that local grassroots organizers are doing, the work that is being done by academics and scholars and people that really give a fuck about this. It's disgusting. It's horrible. And it's just terrible because, there's a mother. And there's people that are like, this is not a debate. You take her side because she is the mother. That's her child. Nobody else can define or dictate what this mother has said that she does not want. This woman says she does not want Shaun King involved in anything related to her son's legacy and name. And for people to act like they gotta respectfully disagree as if they own this child shows you exactly what's wrong with these progressive movements. Because here's the issue. You all are letting people like Shaun King be the spokesperson in the face in certain cases. When we get rid of grifters like Shaun King, when we get rid of people like that consistently are always asking for money and always asking for things from the community in these types of ways without being as transparent as possible, when we do not remove people like that, it hurts the credibility and the trust that we can have within our community to get them to be on our side about these things. I believe that. You don't have to, but I believe that. I believe that it is people like Shaun King that make other people in our community question the advocacy of Black Lives Matter. Because people like him invoke the name Black Lives Matter and then do the shit that he do. Listen, the civil rights movement was not super popular amongst all black people back in its day. There were people that had to be persuaded and moved by it. It was people that were felt like that was too radical back then. The movements have to build credibility amongst its people in order to thrive. You can't do that when you have these motherfuckers front and center. Okay? Tamika Mallory, him, fucking Patrice Cullors, Khan. You gotta these people have to go. These people have to go. Because they're it's like headline after headline. Twitter conversation after Twitter conversation. Eric Adams said this quote, social media does not pick a candidate. people on Social Security pick a candidate. Corny, but it works. He's not lying. He's not. And that's the problem. That's the problem. That's the problem. That's the problem right there. And we need to stop acting like we don't know what's behind this. That's what's behind it. So, the question's about race. Because people are asking about his race. So there has been multiple stories, inconsistencies across the board. I've been trying to track down receipts and get the full idea about what happened around Shaun King's racial identity. Because following Samira Rice's criticism of his racial identity, he put out a post that was really long. And because we do believe in giving some explanation to the public about what's being said in these streets, of course I'm going to share what he said, because I do find it humorous. And I do think there's something to learn from what he said. So let me share this so people can see this post, because I do want people to see what was being said on the socials. Let me see. I'm gonna go on Instagram. I've been blocked on all his social media, but every good Judy knows you gotta have a backup page. So I want to read what was said because I think it's important to quote people. If people want to be quoted, well, I feel like, well, it looked like did he take the post down? I think he took the post down, y'all. Maybe he did, maybe he did. I think he took the post down. He's been taking posts down lately, which is very telling. Or he just posts a lot on IG. So I'm trying to find the original post, which is interesting. I cannot find it. Hold on. I'm gonna look somewhere else. But that just tells you right there. I mean, I hear he takes posts off all the time, but I do want to read it for accuracy's sake. Okay, here it goes. Found it. So he put a picture up of him in Versailles, Kentucky. And it's a picture of him, and he says, "That's me, 27 years ago in 1994. A young black boy who experienced all of the beauty and all of the pain of being black in a small rural town where racism was rampant and unchecked. Sophomore in high school in Versailles, Kentucky." Or Versailles. "I have never pretended to be black a day in my damn life. Never. Not once. Not 27 years ago and not now. And if I did do that, it would be a problem. That's not what I was doing 27 years ago, and damn sure not today. This is not who I am, who I have always been. Who I've always been. Now here's the thing. I'm clearly not 100% black or African. That's obvious. My mother is white, sweetest woman ever, love her so much. My biological father was a light-skinned black man and was basically, quote-unquote, mixed himself, although where he grew up, he was just considered black as well. He could have passed for white, but was raised better than that. I was actually considered black and not mixed or biracial where I grew up as well. It was cut and dry like that where I came up. It wasn't even a question. You'd have to go back to the 80s and early 90s to understand it was a different time. And from the time I was a boy until 2015, when I was 34 years old and was fighting against police brutality in America, nobody questioned this. I told my story on race for 20 years before that, but literal white supremacists started telling 100 lies about me, including that I was stealing from families and was a white man pretending to be black. I never thought people would accept either of them. Both are preposterous." Well, first of all, let's be very clear on several things. several things. There's so much to unpack there, but let's just be clear on several things. White supremacists. Yes, there are white supremacists saying that he is white. They're also accusing him of stealing and grifting. But let's be very clear. White supremacists are the only ones criticizing Shaun King. A lot of black women have been criticizing Shaun King and questioning all of his spending and his transparency for years. What him and Patrisse Cullors do is frame the narrative as if the only people criticizing and coming for them are white supremacists and Trump supporters. That's not true. The truth of the matter is that what's happening is what happens oftentimes. When black people try to hold other black people accountable, white people, right, get messy, and then they like to come in and instigate the situation, instigate the conflict. So that's really what's happening here, is that there are people in the community, right, that are trying to hold Shaun King accountable, and white people are getting messy, and they're like, well, we now have a common enemy, so let's join forces and try to squash this man. Let's be clear. Black activists and progressives and folks that are trying to hold this man accountable are not fucking with white supremacists to do it. White supremacists are always going to make chops. Like when black people criticize Obama, like when I criticize Obama, like in the New York Times, and I was talking about his very boomer view on cancel culture. I remember the Daily Wire and other conservative publications was like, progressives don't think Obama is woke enough on this issue, or blah, 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 blah. And it's like they want to fuel the fire because they do, but they're not on my side. They just like to be in the mess. And so what happens is there are people like the Shaun Kings and the Patrices and others that would say that black people like myself who are critical, right, should not say anything because then that gives them, they love it. They gonna be mad. But that's bullshit, because at the end of the day, it don't stop nothing. If you fucking up, you need to go. I don't give a fuck who is agreeing on the sidelines. You are a problem, and you should be held accountable, regardless of whether or not white people are looking or whatever. Because at the end of the day, the violence you're committing is hurting other black people and is a form of anti-blackness. So shut the fuck up. Just wanted to make that clear. So that being said, the reason why this is all weird to me about Versailles and all this in Kentucky is that apparently this population is super, 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 super white, like over 90% white. I ain't heard nobody come out of the woodwork. If there was this black family with this black man that was in this neighborhood that was not in his family, folks would have known something. The receipts are not coming up. First of all, what is also missing is that previously Shaun King had addressed this because his birth certificate has a white father and a white mother, okay? The white man looked like him, okay? That white man looked like him. It's in the nose and everything. His brother is white as snow. That man is white, right? His siblings are white. And the narrative he put out there, which was very weird around his mother, was implying that his mother had stepped out on the daddy, okay, the white man, and that she got knocked up by some black man. He didn't really know his father. That was what he said. That was the framing, like she didn't know this man. They had a little situation or whatever. That's what he said initially, which then played into the narrative of, his mother was out here, which is not cool. But that was the way that he framed it, right? And the crazy part is it's like, you act like you didn't know who this man is, and now you know what the man looked like. Now you know all these other details, but nobody can find his father. This small town, nobody know who his daddy is. Nobody could put a name to this man or something, and he got a whole family in the same area. Who knows something? Because right now, the birth certificate says all white. You have a history of being a liar. And quite frankly, this story keeps evolving and changing through time. Now here, a light-skinned man that's biracial. So you got a white mom that's like 100% white, and now your dad is supposed to be biracial, which means that his father or mother could have been white, and then the other person could have been black. So you really got if without knowing the details, you own 25% black right now. That's what it looks like if we was doing the genetic, the factors, right? If we was doing a pie, 2 parents, 4 parents. So 3 parents out of this equation from your genetic pool, your grandparents, 3 out of 4 of your grandparents are guaranteed white. We don't even know if that other grandparent, who is the one that is of color, is fully black. They also could be interracial too, or they could just be white too, and you just lying all the way. But whatever it is, the numbers are showing overwhelmingly white. is what it's looking like. And it keeps changing because I didn't recall the man being white passing and biracial last time he mentioned all that. I don't know where the fuck that came from. I thought the daddy was just black and I was like, But it keeps changing. The goalpost keeps changing. And so it's just looking real suspicious. But all I gotta say is there was pictures. He ain't trying to grow that hair out, y'all. Because if that hair grows out, you know what it's giving. That man is white. That man is white. That man that got him a fade with an A1 fade or whatever guard to keep it looking a certain kind of way to look. He is trying to look. He is Rachel Dolezal. He's been Rachel Dolezal for a minute. That picture, that daddy, his brothers, his siblings, them baby pictures, that boy is white. And we don't know who the daddy is, and the story keeps changing. He is white. And I think that that's the real big secret, is that if it comes out that he's white, child, is going to be a hot-ass mess. Because that's really what it's giving at this point. That's a white man, y'all. And I'm going to tell you something. If it comes out, when the shoe finally motherfucking drops, and it finally comes, I want a DNA test. We need to call Mari, because Mari gonna find out. Mari is also a Pitt alum, y'all. Mari Povich gonna find out. This is a Mari situation. Somebody needs to call Mari. And somebody needs to get his mother. Somebody needs to figure it out. Because at the end of the day, the thing is, nothing he do is transparent. Even when it came to his finances, he got his homies to do the financial report. You got motherfucking Tamika Mallory vouching. How am I supposed to trust Tamika Mallory's situation funky? How am I supposed to trust a funky person to now do your shit? Fuck out of here. None of this makes any sense. And it's irking. Because it's such a distraction. And people are like, well, why does it matter? It fucking matters. Because it's integrity. It's integrity. You've been out here claiming to be a black person, raising money, acting like this, that, and the third, and the whole time you a fucking white man. You a liar. What that man say? Crumb bum son of a bitch. You a crumb bum piece of shit. And I think that that's the reality, is that people need to be honest. Like, stop lying. Stop it. You've made money pretending to be black. You got in jobs writing like a black man and you white. Fuck out of here. Rachel Dolezal has to go. You have to fucking go. Period. And there's that one clown, okay, since we talking about it, is Amanda Seales, who can just go away at this point. And if you don't know who Amanda Seales is, don't know who she is. And don't Google her, because she's so fucking irrelevant. Horrible actress, mediocre talk show host. Don't know why people are hype about her. She gonna comment and say, on Instagram, it's no secret that I have side-eyed Shaun King. However, bigger picture. Nobody finds it odd that she's just out of the blue going out her way and being given every platform with no receipts shown to quote-unquote call out one by one black activists and organizers that have been the visible faces of the movement. Just food for thought. If you don't shut the fuck up, Samira Rice is that woman, and you're not. And for you to sit up here and try to, forge conspiracy theories, these people have never been the true face of the movement. The true face of the movement are organizers who was in St. Louis and Ferguson and Baltimore and places that you've probably never been and done the real work to do, you fucking celebrity activists. It just pisses me off that there are so many people who think that they got these blue check marks. And as a bitch with a blue check mark, I can talk about this. It's very interesting that they think that they can weigh in with their little slacktivist little shit, right? They don't be out here on these front lines. They don't be out here really covering this stuff. They get arrested for likes and selfies and then get out and be released and then go out to eat the same fucking day. They sit up here and they go to real parades. Let me tell you about the activists and the organizers that I roll with, that I see, right? They do direct actions. They don't ask for fucking city permits. Okay, let's be very clear. They roll up and they show out. Okay, bail money on deck, honey. Okay, they go out there with bullhorns, honey, in the real day. They don't give a fuck what time it is. They show up and they roll up in public space. They don't give announcements. They don't do flyers. They don't do hashtags and selfies. They don't do any of that shit. They just go the fuck there and they do what needs to be done and they come back with results like that. Some of y'all can't say the same thing. Some of y'all are perpetually in a cycle of activism just for trauma bonding. Let's call it what the fuck it is, trauma bonding. There are people that literally this is a social club for them. This is not about getting real results. This is not about getting shit fucking done. It's about grifting. It's about being celebrities. It's about fucking clout chasing. That's what it is for some of these people. They're not trying to get any real policy changes. They're fucking incremental, and people are dying because of it. So don't you come for Samir Rice. Samir Rice has consistently been talking about this. Ain't no fucking all of a sudden. Her voice was silenced. Silenced. She was blackballed. She was interrogated. She was intimidated. There's a story about her, I believe, in The Cut that talks all about the struggles that she's going through. And for this woman, this dumbass woman, and I'm going to be respectful because I want to say other things, but I'm going to be very respectful. This dumb idiot to sit up here to fix her mouth to come for that woman. When that woman's son, okay, that woman's son is the reason why we are having these movements. When you have lost a son, when you have lost a child, this is serious. This is not, that's my opinion. Fuck your fucking opinions. This woman has lost a child at 12 years old to police violence. She has seen his face be exploited for nearly 10 years. And you're sitting up here trying to create conspiracy theories around her like she's just some batshit crazy woman. Fuck you. And fuck Shaun King. And if you're still supporting Shaun King, you can unfollow, unsubscribe, and unlike and disconnect because we are not the same. And we're not the same. And we are not the same. And if that's your friend and you like his white ass, you can do that. But we're not the same. I don't want no Shaun King supporters following me. Don't. I don't want that support. I don't. I turn it down immediately. Bye. Moving along. Whew. So there was people that asked me about this, and I wasn't going to really talk about it. I'm not really going to talk too much about it, but this whole Trick Daddy Beehive thing. Look, I don't know why anybody... First of all, let me just back this up. He was on Clubhouse. First of all, I didn't even know people were still on Clubhouse. I didn't even know Clubhouse was still relevant. Didn't it fall from grace? Didn't I tell you I was going to fall from grace? I told you I was going to fall from grace. It just fell. Fast, too. It even lasted a year. It was like a big old moment, and then it just deflated. I don't know. Clubhouse just took too long to build the momentum, and also had so many security issues, and they just let the hoteps and the bad relationship experts and all the crazy fake business folks and liars just take over the platform. So it's now collapsed, in my opinion. But there are a couple of, DD list celebrities that are on there. I don't call them E-list celebrities because my name is Ian. E-list is before the A-list, the exceptional list. But this is the F-list. That's a lot better. F-list celebrities. So Trick Daddy, okay, who was a famous rapper in Miami. He made some really great songs in the late 90s, early 2000s. It's been 20 years since he really had a hit. Still makes appearances on shows like Love and Hip Hop Miami. He has went into the culinary industry. He has a restaurant that, depending on who you talk to, is either hit or miss. He was known for having songs with Trina. He doesn't look like himself anymore. He's definitely has had some health issues and some drug issues, apparently. And, he's out here running that mouth. And apparently he was on Clubhouse in the chat and was saying that Beyonce really can't sing, said that Jay-Z wasn't really the greatest rapper alive, and no one really, rappers voted for him to, and that was his opinion. Trick Daddy is entitled to his own opinion, he's entitled to, his lackluster hairline, his bad teeth, and that restaurant that is questionable with the food. He's entitled to his opinion, y'all, and to be quite honest, I just don't understand why this became a story. What I need the Beehive to understand is every single person that throws a pebble does not require you to waste your energy throwing a fucking ass brick. It's not like, y'all didn't even come for Elton John when he was critical about Beyonce and The Lion King and the soundtracks and stuff. It's interesting who y'all pick and choose with. Trick Daddy is such a non-fucking factor that you all gave him so much media press. And then the Beehive, which is Beyonce's fan base name, they took onto his page and gave him bad reviews in his restaurant. Oh my God, can y'all grow the fuck up? Who is this group? First of all, Beehivers definitely are older millennials and younger Gen Xers. I don't know any Gen Zers that are crazy Beyonce fans. Maybe there are some Gen Zers. But I feel like she's definitely millennial. The millennial base is her demographic. Millennials love Beyonce, and younger Gen Xers rock with Beyonce, but she's definitely a millennial artist. She's a millennial herself. Like, she's a millennial artist. And so I can see millennials, but I'm just like, y'all ain't got nothing to do. Oh, God. Like, and my whole thing is like, I get it, right? People love their fans. But like, that's what I'm saying. The Britney army is trying to keep Britney out of the, get Britney out of this conservatorship. And y'all are arguing with a rapper who ain't had a hit in over 15 fucking years. Y'all arguing with him about an opinion on a fucking app that no one's using anymore. Like, priorities, people, priorities. Trick Daddy ain't got no fucking say. Like, why? And then the gag is, because of the attention, this motherfucker get a platform. He's on the Black News Channel, getting interviewed by, what do you think? Mark Lamont Hill, who needs a check, right? He's on there getting interviewed by him. Like, so, first of all, I don't even know why Mark Lamont Hill brought Trick Daddy on. I thought that was dumb. But like, I'm sitting here looking like, there's all these issues going on right now, and you're spending so much time arguing about all kind of dumb shit. Like, you're arguing. I mean, there's so much stuff going on about the Supreme Court situation. Girl, went off on her social media and basically said that she couldn't be censored for her Snapchat or her social media, curse out a cheerleader, basically got her First Amendment rights protected by the Supreme Court against the school who tried to reprimand her for her behavior on social media. You got that going on. You got Britney's conservatorship. You got Eric Adams being a front runner. You got all these other issues going on, and maybe those things were covered, but like, Trick Daddy is not national news. So I'm just, to be honest with you, yes, I'm dragging Trick Daddy's irrelevant ass, but I'm just also disappointed in all the parties involved in this, because this was a non-issue. And who would have thought that just simply being an irrelevant rapper saying somebody can't sing, which is a lie, right? Beyonce can sing. It's just stupid. All right. Speaking of other stupid things and hypocrisies, because I just have to talk about this. So there's been this drama going on with Michael B. Jordan. He got with Lori Harvey, which we talked about a while back and how weird that was. Well, he's still with her. And he's got a new rum company he's doing called Juve, which is based off of Caribbean celebration, and the folks from the Trinidad and Grenada and all them, they celebrate this. This is a cultural title and word. He's named the Caribbean rum after that name, and it sparked some controversy in the community with the folks from the islands. Okay, honey, they are not here for it. And so Lori Harvey had shared it on her Instagram, shouting her boo out, and people saw it, and shots were being thrown. And now Michael B. Jordan is going to change the name because he's listened to the community, and he's like, he doesn't want to be accused of cultural appropriation and things of that. So he's about to change the whole name, and it's going to be rebranded something else. First of all, let's just, round of applause, Michael B. Jordan. He didn't fight back. He didn't argue. He just said, listen, understood, change. That's what I'm talking about. See how fast it is to just know you did something wrong and be able to just fix the situation immediately without having to let it be a drawn-out fight? White people, take notes. It's interesting because most black people, when they're in situations like that, we are faster to apologize or respond, or even people of color, for that matter, for example. Like last week, Rita Moreno, she, was defending In the Heights and said some things that was very questionable about letting things go when there was conversations about colorism. And she went around and said, no, she messed up. She's learning and she was wrong. Like, in trying to defend that movie, she was, she dismissed the concerns of Afro-Latinos, Latinx people who have had these issues. And she apologized immediately. Like, got off her plane and apologized. See, it could be that simple, y'all. It could be that simple to apologize, correct the behavior, learn from it, and move the fuck on. Situations that are like mine, like that, don't let that be a stain on your legacy or your reputation. You said something that wasn't cool, you apologize before all the think pieces come out, and there were think pieces coming out, but she got to get ahead of it, and so yeah, that's what you're supposed to do. That's what it means to be accountable. That's what it means. Listen to the people, hear what's being said, know what you don't know, and move forward. So that's what he did. But backpedaling or whatever to what happened previously in that conversation, Nicki Minaj decided she wanted to chime in the conversation, and she is from Trinidad, and so she's Trinidadian, so she does have a connection to this issue. But she was just basically said that Michael B. Jordan, she don't think it was intentional what he did, but he needs to fix the issue. Cool, right on, Nicki. Here's my issue, Nicki. Are we ever going to really address the elephant in the room that your husband is a convicted sex offender, a registered sex offender. We're going to talk about that, Mr. Petty, Kenneth Petty. Are we going to address that? Are we going to finally address the fact that, there are stories and reports out that you went after people who've accused him and you've harassed them and have intimidated them. There are stories out there in the Daily Beast that shows that you and your husband were basically out here pushing out these women, trying to silence them and intimidate them and things of that nature. These victims. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the fact that you have tried to, even in the fact that your own brother was convicted of sexual abuse. Okay? To a minor. Convicted. The allegations, not rumors. Not to say that you have to address it, but you have been in a situation where you've defended him publicly. I'm just saying, Nicki, you got a lot of, and then are we just going to ignore the fact that you did that song with Tekashi 6ix9ine, in the midst of all of the allegations and arrests that he's had around sexual abuse, inappropriate behavior with minors? We're not going to address that either. Just interesting, the crowd that you're hanging with, that you're affiliating yourself with, Nicki. I'm just saying, Nicki, it's not very, 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 very interesting. But you got so much to say about Juve. And I mean, listen, I get it. I get that there's something to be said about this brand. But I know you're not talking. Okay? I know you're not talking. That's my energy. I know you're not talking. Moving along. Okay, so these new shows, y'all. David Makes Man is back. It's back. I've been telling you all to watch it on HBO Max. You can watch the entire first season. The new season just came back on OWN. It's the reason why I got to meet Oprah 2 years ago. I went to interview her when this show first came. Interesting enough, Michael B. Jordan and her are the executive producer of the show. It's created by Terrell Alvin McCraney, who he's the Oscar-winning screenwriter of Moonlight. And he also did Choir Boy, which got all of those Tony nominations. That was a Broadway musical, but Broadway play. He wrote the screenplay for that, got Tony nominations. He's a beast. So Terrell Alvin McCraney, this show is incredible. David Makes Man, it's back with the second season. The season premiere just came out, and oh my God. Every time I think this show can't shake me, it shakes me. It's just poetry, visual poetry. That's the best way to describe it. It's so good. And it's so deep, and it's a lot to unpack, and it's just wonderful. Just highly recommend it. I've been still watching Encore, which is that new show on BET, which I'm surprised that BET has me watching the show. Y'all know that the BET Awards is coming up this weekend. There's not been much promotion about it, which has been interesting. But this weekend marks the 5th anniversary of my spat with Justin Timberlake. It happened 5 years ago. This Sunday will be the 5th anniversary of that entire exchange, and how it changed my life and how it continues to. And there's more to come on that, but I can't talk too much about that. But it's coming soon. I have other news, maybe about that, but I won't say it out loud. So anyway, Encore is good. Pamela's annoying me. There was a situation on the last episode. The most recent episode was the girls are fighting. O'Day is now the new queen. In the previous episode before then, there was some drama because, Pam is basically a homophobe, but she's like a Bible thumper, but she's also like a former lesbian that says she's been delivered from that. And so she's making the girls uncomfortable. It's a lot. The show is a lot. But it's fun. It's been good. But they're just having their growing pains as a group, and just all the generational divides and clashing with egos and all of that. It's just coming to a head. Those cherished twins, oh my God, the ego on them. You would really think that they were like Terry Jam and Lewis or something. You would just think they were something. Like they were Rodgers and Hammerstein, the way they talk about their songwriting. I mean, they literally drop a name every 5 seconds. Like, okay, so you had one song. You was one of the writers on one of these songs. How many of these damn artists and songwriters? I mean, there's other people that have had bigger hits ain't acting like this. Like, they just cutting up And I get it. They've worked hard. They know how to do production and stuff. But like, god damn, like, I don't know. I just feel like they're just taking up too much space on the show with their ego. That it's just kind of a turn off. But those are my shows I've been watching. And I'm just, counting down to get to Love and Hip Hop Atlanta, which is going to be on July 5th, right after 4th of July. So looking forward to that. All right. And then last but not least, I just want to say this. This TikTok ban that Black creators are doing on dances has been funny to watch. I don't have a TikTok, but there has just been a real movement. And I just want to say I'm in solidarity with these Black social media content creators that are on TikTok. I am in solidarity with you all on this TikTok ban of new dances and trends. I'm so a part of it because it's a message about these white people who have jumped on these trends and have gotten social media content and visibility and views. And this movement that has been happening right now is a big fucking deal, and people need to talk about it more. It is epic. And there needs to be something to be said about it because people are not talking about it. You go on social media and look this up, but basically there's a lot of Black TikTok creators who are basically not doing any new dances to any new songs. And there's a lot of good songs out right now that could be, like, I think it's that song by Meg Thee Stallion. Like, Meg Thee Stallion often, her fans, really make dances after her music. So there's a song by her now called Thought Shit that is really, a nice little bumpy song that could easily be a dance. They're not doing it. They're on ban right now because there's equity concerns and there's a lot of white people taking up space and becoming stars off of their work. And it's time for Black creators to take ownership. And so they're doing this ban. And they're like, no, you're not going to steal my choreography. You're not going to make it a challenge. So come up with your own corny ass dances and see how far they go. Because Black people run this shit. And also, because I just almost forgot, because it's Pride Month, and also I got to shout this incredible woman out, Sha'Carri Richardson. Like, what the fuck? Like, where has she been my entire life? First of all, she's from Dallas, Texas. And y'all know Simone Biles is from Houston. So, Texas, when Dallas and Houston join forces, it's an unstoppable force in the world. So, Sha'Carri Richardson is, first of all, she's Black. She's queer. Okay. She has long nails. She's got cute tats. She is a track star. For real. She made it to Tokyo. She's going to Tokyo. To be in the Olympics this year. And she's young and she's vibrant and she's energetic and she's that girl. And I love her. I just think she's great. And, it's interesting right now. Like, a lot of young women athletes are just redefining the sports that they're doing. You got swimmers, you got, Naomi Osaka, who isn't going to be doing Wimbledon now, apparently. Because she wants to focus on her health, and she's going to still do the Olympics, but she's not doing these other contests because she just want to focus on her wellness and everything. And I think that's powerful. And there's other people that's now joining in the bandwagon with that, right? Seth Curry is taking a break from the Olympics. He's not going to do the Olympics because he wants to focus on being better. But it's interesting that there's a movement, but Black women are always leading the way with that, and it's interesting to see other, like, even non-white athletes and tennis players are focusing on their health and their wellness and their ability to get better for the sports that they're playing. So shout out to them. But I just was like, yes, Sha'Carri Richardson is just so everything, and her hair is fire. So that's everything. I mean, it's been quite an episode, an episode that many people will be talking about. For sure, but, I just, do my thing. And thank you all for listening and, be best. Ernestly Speaking is recorded in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and can be found on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and SoundCloud. To stay up to date with the latest on the show, follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Mr. Ernest Owens. Use the hashtag Ernestly Speaking to tell me what you thought about this episode, and check out my website at ernestowens.com.